So this week is award season over at Transfermarkt. If you head over to our website, you will find the Player of the Season voting award system, the polling system. It's all there. You can find it on our banners. You can find it in our articles. Struggle to miss it, to be perfectly honest with you. And through that, you can vote for your Player of the Season in each of the Europe's top leagues. You can vote for your goalkeeper, your defender, your midfielder, and your forward of the season. And then once you've done that, you can pick which one of them you want to nominate for the Player of the Season. We've done our first video on the goalkeepers, which you'll find on our YouTube channel before this video. But today we're going through the defenders and the nominees for Defensive Player of the Year in the Premier League. If that makes no sense, just click on the link in the description below. But we'll do our best to go through it on this video. So we have 6 nominees for Defender of the Year in the Premier League. And guys, let's get started with a very familiar face to Premier League fans, Virgil van Dijk at Liverpool. Ben, I'll start with you. Obviously, one of the main men at Liverpool for a number of years now, one of Jurgen Klopp's key men. And despite some concerns maybe at the start of the season that age was beginning to pick up with him, or catch up with him rather, it's been another kind of classic campaign from Van Dijk, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's been really impressive how he's returned from such serious injury and sort of got back to close to the heights that he was creating when Liverpool won the Champions League and the Premier League, where he was arguably the best defender in the world. I think he's had a really strong season. He's obviously had his partners changed a lot throughout the campaign. It was Matip during the early days. He got a serious injury, and then it sort of rotated between Konate and Quansah. But Van Dijk's been the mainstay in that team, who were in a title challenge up until, 2-3 weeks ago. Obviously, they're not going to win it now, but I think he's had a really solid season and arguably been Liverpool's best player this season. A deserved nominee, but yeah, maybe misses out on the winning the award totally.
Yeah, you and Van Dijk's up against at least 4 players who are also still gunning for the league title when this video goes out. Do you think that should count against him, or do you think we should just take Van Dijk's performances in isolation and people should vote on that rather than how his team did or didn't do in the league title, the league title race? Well, is what I tried to say there.
Yeah, I'd take Van Dijk's performances in complete isolation because I think it's not his fault that Liverpool haven't won the title this season. I think he's been, like Ben said, I'd go as far as saying he's been their best player this season. Ben mentioned rightly so the centre backs changing, but he's also had Trent Alexander-Arnold's been injured this season, Andy Robertson's injured this season, Alisson's been injured this season. Van Dijk's been the kind of cornerstone of Liverpool's defence, and without him, I don't think they've been anywhere near the title race as deep as they were into the season. I think into May they were still in relative contention of winning it. I think he's a fantastic defender. His name always crops up in the best defenders of Premier League history. I would put him up the top of that, but he's been fantastic for Liverpool. Obviously a big summer for Virgil van Dijk as well. There's been speculation he could leave. I think he's going to last year of his contract, so I'll be really interested to see if he remains as Liverpool captain next season as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've also just done a video very recently on Van Dijk and Liverpool next season, so we definitely check that out if you're looking for a bit more information on how Van Dijk's done this season and what might happen to him in the future. But let's move on to the next candidate, Manchester City right back Kyle Walker. A player that I must admit I'm probably leaning towards for my vote just because of how well he's done. Despite his age as well, he's still such a crucial player in Pep Guardiola's team. And crucially, Ewan, a player that when he's either injured or goes missing and Pep Guardiola can't play him, that team does look like it kind of misses a degree of an attacking intent, but also defensive intent, doesn't it?
It's just his recovery pace. He must be the quickest defender in the world. Certainly playing at the top level. I know, Alphonso Davies is really quick as well, but it just seems that when a player gets away from him, gets a couple of yards, Walker will always get back in. He's so important to how City play, especially with the kind of high line. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when Walker either hangs up his boots or kind of tails off in his career, because it'll be a big loss to City because of the way they play is so important. I think he's a brilliant player. I think he's the best right back in the world. I think he has been for a number of seasons now. There's also that speculation talk about who should start at right back for England, but there's no debate that's Kyle Walker as well. He's a top player.
Yeah, Ben, a player who almost very recently, especially sort of this season, actually left Manchester City. A lot of speculation over him potentially going to Bayern Munich. He decides to stay at Man City, and he's had another stellar season in Guardiola's team, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think that was really important for Man City, keeping Kyle Walker on for another year. One of the leaders in the team, and yeah, as Ewan touched on, he's basically a cheat code for the way they play, because you can just leave him back and then that space in behind Man City where teams look to counter-attack them, which is normally how teams look to hurt Man City. Kyle Walker just cancels that out a lot of the time because he's so quick at getting back. He has only played 30 of the 36 games for Man City this season because they have got so many good defenders. Even in the game against Fulham, which was huge at the weekend, obviously they needed to win that and did. Akanji actually started the game, and then it was only when Ake got injured that Walker then came on. So Man City are blessed with a lot of other good defenders. But I think Walker again has had a great season, and he is so important to this Man City team.
Yeah, absolutely. The next player on, the nomination list is an Arsenal defender, obviously the team who are going toe for toe with Manchester City in the title race this season, and that is William Saliba. Ben, I want to throw this to you because Saliba is such an interesting one to me because he's a player who not that long ago there was still a huge amount of speculation over his future at Arsenal. Why was he getting game time? He was constantly being loaned out. Can I fast forward to the end of this season and he's now arguably the undisputed, contender for, best central defender in the league, especially based on his performances this season.
Oh, he's been fantastic. He really has. I genuinely think last season, if he hadn't missed that run in, I'm not saying Arsenal would have won the league, but I think it probably would have gone maybe to the last day again because replacing William Saliba with Rob Holding really made a big difference to that team. This season, he's been fantastic. Arsenal obviously got the most clean sheets in the league. Him personally has got the most clean sheets because Gabriel didn't start the first few games. He's got 18 clean sheets in the league this season. He was man of the match away at Man United. He was man of the match away at Man City. He was man of the match away at Liverpool. For me, I don't think you need much more evidence there for who should win the Defender Player of the Season in the best defence in the league. He's just so calm and composed on the ball. He's such a good one-on-one defender. His decision-making is superb, and he's formed one of the greatest partnerships in world football right now with Gabriel at the back. So yeah, personally, he would be getting my vote for this position.
Yeah, Ewan, it's so interesting, it's so fascinating when we get to watch a player just kind of develop in front of us who's going from being a young prospect to, as we say, a contender for one of the best defenders in the league. How do you think he's done this season? How do you think he's done compared to some of the other names on this list?
Yeah, he's a monster. I think Ben just kind of listed off, he's a big game player. He stepped up for Arsenal. The defence has been incredible. I think you can make a case for Saliba being the best defender in the world at the moment. Which is funny enough because he can't get a game for France, so it's interesting. But if I look around Europe this season, I think Saliba's probably been the best. I think Antonio Rudiger's had a really good season at Real Madrid. I think Bastoni at Inter Milan, with a fantastic defensive record as well, has been really, really good this season. But yeah, I think Saliba has been the best defender in the country. And for me, it's always nice to have like an edgy choice, but it's difficult to look past William Saliba for this award. I think he's been immense.
Yeah, well, the next name on this nomination list is a player who I suspect may struggle because the fact that Saliba's on it alongside him, and that's, of course, his central defensive partner, Gabriel. I'll throw this back to you. We've just waxed lyrically about, how well Saliba's done, but is Gabriel the kind of unspoken, hard-working partner alongside the kind of high-profile Saliba in this Arsenal defence?
Yeah, he probably does go under the radar, but people always talk about Saliba, but it's really the partnership which is kind of like the bedrock of this Arsenal team. And the player defensive record is so good. And we're speaking here ahead of the last game of the season, but it looks like they'll just fall short of the title. But their points total in the Premier League this season has been incredible as well. So I think Gabriel's a top player. Obviously scored a lot of goals this season from set pieces, which has been a kind of key component to the Arsenal style. Mikel Arteta has been watching Tony Pulis videos at Stoke or something this season because Arsenal scored so many from set pieces, and Gabriel, key player for Brazil as well now. I think he's been one of the better defenders in the league as well.
Yeah, Ben, sorry, you wrote a piece actually on how well Gabriel's done from set pieces, and you did a great kind of breakdown of how Arsenal do score so many goals from set pieces, and that's obviously focused on Gabriel, but you need to be very good in the air in the first place to score all those goals. And, as we just said there, Saliba might be the high-profile Arsenal central defender, but Gabriel is proven to be just as crucial to Arsenal this season, hasn't he?
Yeah. I think, to be honest, he does really go under the radar for me. And if he hadn't missed those first 3 or 4 games of the season, I think I'd find it very hard to choose between Gabriel or Saliba this season. I think often after the games, because Saliba will, in a tight area, do a nice little turn and go around someone. That'll be all over Twitter after the game, make a highlight reel, and everyone's like, Saliba was amazing, which he was. But people don't realise for 90 minutes, Gabriel's been an absolute monster at the back. He's been a rock. He's so aggressive in going into centre forwards. He's done it against Haaland. He's done it against Højlund. he's horrible to play against, and he's been such an important player for Arsenal. And as you mentioned, it's that partnership between them that's been so crucial to Arsenal having the best defensive record in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the third and final Arsenal player on this nomination list, which goes some way to explaining how well Arsenal have done defensively this season, is Ben White. I was going to say the England right back, but I guess he's technically not the England right back these days because of his reported feud with Gareth Southgate. But despite that, and despite the fact that he might not be at the Euros, Ben, let's just kind of take a minute to appreciate how well White has done for Arsenal this season in a position which, you know, arguably isn't his key one, but he kind of has made it his own, hasn't he, at right back?
Yeah, for the last 6 months, he's been superb, so consistent, week in, week out. He struggled a little bit during the first couple of months of the season, and then it since later came out that he was playing with a bit of an injury, which I think might have been the reason behind that, because he didn't quite look himself. But one-on-one, he's brilliant. On the ball, he's brilliant. He's so important to Bukayo Saka because he's relentless for 90 minutes getting down, whether he receives the ball or not, just making that angle on the overlap to allow Saka to either cut in or feed him. He's got 4 goals this season as well, quite important goals. And been such a consistent performer, Mr. Reliable for Arsenal. And probably won't win the award, but a deserved nominee.
Yeah. You said earlier in the episode about how Kyle Walker is undisputed England right back and how well he's done. I know White arguably won't be in contention, as we talked about. He won't be in the England squad this summer, and, you know, he's maybe not everyone's idea of a classic right back, but he has filled a role in that team and allowed Arteta's team to really kind of solidify defence and, as a result, challenge for the title this season.
Yeah, he fits in perfectly to Arsenal's system at right back. I think for England, he should probably be starting at centre back if he was going to be in the squad, which he's not going to be. I'm really impressed with how White's kind of taken to the role at right back. You know, you hear so much about Ben White. You know, he doesn't like football, blah 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 blah. But by all accounts, he's a really professional. He's quite studious about his game. You know, he study opponents, he'll study how to play right back. Remember, I watched him coming through. He was obviously at Brighton, the Leeds United. He was very much the kind of epitome of the modern centre back, excellent on the ball, confident, bringing that out. So the fact to be able to transition and play right backs, I think, is hugely commendable to him. And obviously the coaching he's getting, you know, from Mikel Arteta and his staff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the last name on our list is perhaps one a little out of left field. We discussed Jordan Pickford on the last episode, talking about the fact that even though Everton are nowhere near the top of the table, when it comes to defensive stats and defensive performances, they absolutely are rubbing shoulders with the best teams in the league. As a result, Jarrad Branthwaite, central defender, young player, Ewan, who, as we said with Pickford, maybe Everton haven't been the best team in the league this season, but they've done what they had to do to avoid relegation, and these defensive players have been crucial, haven't they?
Yeah, 4th best defence in the league, and Branthwaite had a real breakthrough season in the Premier League. I think his loan spell at PSV was crucial to him getting those minutes under his belt and becoming a first team regular. I think Van Nistelrooy said that he was a complete defender. He can play off both feet. He's really quick. His height is a huge asset. He's built a really good partnership with Tarkowski, and obviously Pickford, that kind of trio at the back. He's probably going to get a big move in the summer. The only thing that will stop him is probably the price tag. I imagine Everton will want 70, 80 million for him, and that's the only way I can see him staying at Everton for another season, is if their asking price proves prohibitive for clubs like Manchester United.
Yeah, Ben, probably not going to win this particular category when it comes to Player of the Year, just because some of the names that are on the list. In fact, they're also gunning for the ultimate league title, but probably a player who will continue to be nominated if he gets the right move and he continue putting in the performances like we saw this season. A player who would probably still be going forward, be considered one of the most exciting defenders in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think his nomination speaks volumes about the season he's had and the fact that he's on that list with some of the best defenders in the division. He got his first England call-up in March, didn't actually make an appearance, but he's very much in contention to be in the squad for the Euros this summer. He's chipped in with a few goals, been really solid at the back, as we've all touched on, 4th best defence in the league. An outside pick, but a deserved nominee.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you guys can let us know what you think in the comments below, who you think should be the defender of the year in the Premier League. And then, of course, you can click on the link in the description of this video to go to our Player of the Year voting tool and pick your defender, and then as a result, pick your Player of the Year. And we'll be back with more videos going through the midfielders and forwards of the year in the Premier League this season. So check that out this week. And until next time, we'll speak to you soon.